Okay, we're driving by on the highway here by Winkler, and we found this sprayer on the truck. But this one's kind of special because it is, well, it's an 8460. But this one is a lot bigger than most of the sprayers we sell. You can see that there. It is gonna be mega. So I found it again. This time I'm in Swift Current, Saskatchewan at Canada West Closs. Just doing a PDI, get everything ready on it now. So one nice thing about this boom, it's still compact. You know, you're not hanging out way behind your back rack or your tires. If you go up to the front here, you know, no extra width hanging out. You still have perfect visibility out of the cab, even with the booms folded up. And you know, it's still compact inside the tires when you're transporting down the road, so no trees getting hung up on your nozzle bodies. So your outside boom here is all covered, right? So there's no way for tree branches to get in there. This boom, first time unfolding it here now, is massive, massive, massive boom. So what we're doing now, we're installing all of our tips. They come with one set of blue tips from factory. We're installing a few more. So this is a 4-0, which means there's 4 nozzles every 20 inches. We can spec it if you want with an extra nozzle body right in the middle here with 2 more nozzles to give us 6 every 20 inches. But we're installing stickers. So a sticker for each nozzle body so you can count them all the way along if you're working on them. We got our flex point out here, but I'll show you more about the boom once we get it all set up and running. So we got production crew going today, installing tips, getting this thing ready. We got the guys setting up tips over here on the truck, but we're gonna have this thing ready to rock here pretty quick. All right, let's talk about this thing. So in Canada, we've had 120-foot booms I started with way back in 2021. Went out with 133.33 booms. We brought out the 150 booms. Now this is our first one in Canada. We're kind of mid-season here, 2025, but we're gonna bring out this 160 boom in a big way next year. What we're pairing it with is, you know, right now we have it on a VL 8460. So this is our 460 horsepower engine with our 2,140 gallon tank. This 160-foot boom, though, can be spec'd with any of our models. So if you want to go with the smaller 1,700 gallon tank, or, you know, the 1,440 tank, which is our VLS model with the smaller engine, you could also get, you know, this big boom on the smaller frame size or smaller engine size. I'll show you the new stuff now. So obviously it's longer. The breakaway is the same part as all of our 150 and 133 booms. So we have all these in stock in Saskatoon. The inside section is the same part number. What gets different is this section right here and this section right here are different part numbers. But the inside and the outside are the same ones. Okay, this is new for this year. What we have now on the very boom tip here, we put I'm gonna call this a speed skid. So, you know, this piece of metal right here is gonna hit the ground if it does hit the ground. And it's kind of rounded here on the bottom so it can hit the ground and not dig in, right? Along the back now, this is new again for this year. We've put this long bar back here. So what this is for, you know, if you're making a turn, your inside boom goes backwards. If you happen to be running your boom extremely low in hilly ground at a 10-inch height or a 20-inch height or even lower, this is gonna protect your nozzles from hitting things backwards, right? Also, you know, if you do get into the trees, it's gonna protect this whole inside piece. This is a little bit different. So this fence row nozzle, what I have underneath here now, you'll see the height difference. So it can hit the ground. This will hit first, and this fence row nozzle won't get ripped. This guy here will shoot straight down like this, and then straight out about, I don't know, out to about here. So it'll be 10 feet on an angle going backwards like this. This outside nozzle is 160 feet right here. Inside, I have my half nozzle. What this means, every North American sprayer, right? This nozzle right here has 100% overlap with the next one over here. Except on this half over here, it's putting on half right against your fence. So what we do, this front tip now, my front fence row nozzle comes straight down and in on an angle. Excuse me. So I get to put on a full rate right along my fence edge over here, right? So 2 fence row nozzles. Usually how I do this, I look at what chemistry is in my tank. If I'm spraying Roundup, I'm not putting this guy out into the trees, right? I leave this guy turned off, and I just run the half nozzle coming straight down if it's Roundup, because I don't want to kill my grass, and then the thistles are going to grow. If I'm doing a broadleaf herbicide, then I'll turn on both. I'll still have this guy coming down and give an overlap with this tip here, but then I'll also turn on this guy going out into my fence row to kill any thistles possibly in my ditch. So, another new idea for this year, we started putting stickers on the boom. So what this is doing is just giving us, you know, if I have a problem out here with a nozzle or something, you have a label on each one of these nozzle bodies. Makes it simpler to look at them all. So like we were saying earlier, you can get this in a 20-inch nozzle spacing like it is, or you can also get it in a 10-inch nozzle spacing. So your options are a 1-0, which is 1 nozzle every 20 inches. You can get a 4-0, which is 4 nozzles every 20 inches like this one. Or you can also get a 2-2, which is 2 every 10 inches, or a 4-2, which is 4 and then 2 in between on the 10-inch spacing. For the 5 and 10 gallon rates of Western Canada, this 4-2 is pretty good, unless you start putting a twin fan nozzle in here. Right now, these are all flat fan. If I had a 4-2, I would put a twin fan right here in the middle. So then I'd have, chemical coming both directions. So a 360-degree coverage. So the way this is going to work with the auto select system, when I'm spraying with my lowest rate, what happens is this guy turns on first, go a little bit faster. So that's an 01 orange tip. Goes a little bit faster, it goes to this green guy. So half a nozzle size up, which is an 01.5. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger or smaller and smaller as you change speeds. So all you do as an operator, you type in what rate you want to apply at, and the machine is going to pick the right tip or combination of tips. So you can have 1 tip on, or all 4, or only 3, or any 2, or any combination of that to hold the correct orifice size to give you the right pressure to hold the right rate. Look at the rest of it here. Don't have the rest of my stickers installed. We're putting them on right now. So, that's pretty exciting. 160. Underneath, we have lights to go down the booms, and then a rinse nozzle to rinse off the lights to keep them clean if these get built up with mud or dust. But what I like doing, to shine this light down 160 feet, it's a big ask to go that far all the way down there. So what I've been doing now is installing light strips right along here, LED strips. We can pick whatever color you want then. So the boom height control sensors, we have 8 sensors on the boom. The first one is right here. This is our inside sensor. Go down and look at the other ones. There's our first fold point right here in the locking cylinder. This is our second sensor right here. You can see the angle. They all kind of look forward, right? Instead of straight down. At this point right here, this is all steel. So a steel boom to this point. Once it gets to right here, now we're aluminum. So it's kind of a hybrid steel and aluminum boom all in the same one. So now this goes to a one-piece design out here. This is our third sensor right here. And again, looking forward instead of what's already underneath you. Then our outside breakaway is right here. So this sensor looks way forward. So what we want to see is, what's out here on the edge. If you're going to hit the ground, it's usually this outside piece that's going to hit, right? So you can see this sensor is almost right to my tip where I want it here. So I'm better in hills, and it's looking forward a long ways. So if I hit something, right, we want to have everything smooth so nothing can grab on here. So you hit something, it's going to hit this rubber bounce plate first, right? The machine's going to keep driving away. As you drive forward, it's going to slide along that bounce plate. As you clear it, then it just bounces back into place. So it does forward and backwards. Breaks away here the other way, just like that. So again, you can see my skid plate here on this side. I got my fence row nozzle shooting out behind. I'll adjust that a little bit. And then there's my bar protecting all these nozzles here on the back end. So, This is kind of a cool idea. You look right over top of this nozzle body right here. So right on the outside, only on your right side, we have this bracket. Inside this bracket, we have a camera now. So what this is doing, if you go up into the cab and you look forward, you're gonna see a view that kind of looks like this, right? So what you're gonna do now is, yeah, just like that. What you're gonna do now is you keep everything to the left of my finger there, you're gonna hit it. Anything to the right of my finger, you're gonna miss. So you keep all your obstacles over here to the right, and you'll miss them all. So it's an easy way to see the edge of your crop, right? And also your headlands, so I don't hurt my neck as much. Looking out here, I'm always looking forward at the screen, not necessarily out here at my boom. Because once you start to trust this camera, it works really slick. So other changes on the machine, you know, we've talked about a lot of them already. You know, we're bringing them in with John Deere GPS. So we have our bubble up there, 7000 series. This is our big tank, right? 2,140 gallons. You combine that with this 160 boom, you're gonna crush some acres. So this one has a new cab on. We've covered that in the videos here before, but you know, your front fill drops down on the button. We have the auto greaser on it. If anybody's ever ran our first prototype from 5 years ago, it's really cool to see the difference now of what this machine is today. It's a big change from 5 years ago. We'll take a look up top. So this has got the 4 airbags for the cab suspension. Once you get up here, you can really see how big this tank is, right? She's a big tank. So we'll get this thing into the field later today, and maybe I'll make another video on that later and show it running. So what I've done now, I've went up into the cab, started the engine, I've just changed, and I've opened up that outside flex. So now it's tilted all the way up like that. So as you're contouring through the field, the wider booms get in the industry, if you don't have a flex in the boom, it's gonna be really tough for any slight elevation change. If you have to lift up with that outside tip, you're gonna be way off target here on the inside, right? So what this machine has is, you know, one fold point out there, or a flex point that's controlled by 2 sensors. We have another flex point right here that lifts up the entire inside wing, right? Controlled by that sensor out there and this sensor right here. And then we also have our center rack that controls automatically, right? So the center rack can tilt side to side, which then changes our height a lot, because a small movement of this center rack is a huge movement of your tip out here at 160 feet. So one flex point, second flex point, third flex point, which is the center rack side to side. And the other one is our center rack up and down with the parallelogram, which changes the height of, you know, your center section, and then your outsides can then still drop down if you're going over a contour. So same thing on this side, right? We have our flex point out there, and then same as every other sprayer, the flex point right here in the middle to lift up the inside lift. But I really think, you know, with these wider booms, having a flex point on the boom like this is really gonna make a big difference for getting that chemical on target. All right, so this is giving us a view of the whole boom here when it's kind of flexed out. Shows you all those nozzles up there underneath. What I like about this auto select system, no wiring harnesses, right? It's all just air lines underneath here, so super easy to fix. So you can see how high, like, you know, I'm 6 feet tall almost. I'm reaching up another few feet, and I'm nowhere near the end of that boom up there. We get down towards the middle. You can see where this flex point is. Look underneath here at these nozzle bodies. That's how simple it is. All we have inside here, diaphragm, spring, air pushing against the diaphragm, the spring, lets chemical down into the nozzle body. No wiring harness, nothing. All it's doing is just air signal coming in right to here. See how high up that boom tip is. And then same thing on the other side, way over there. We'll take a look. So the one flex point out here. Big walk now to walk all the way down these booms. Keep me in shape. So here's what I was talking about. There's your second flex point. Same as what every other sprayer on the market has, right? But this is all they have. Just this guy lifting this up here. We have the extra one out there. And on the inside, these two hydraulic cylinders right here and here are rotating this whole center rack side to side. So you move this center rack even a small bit, it's gonna make a huge difference of what that tip is doing way out there, right? So very fast movements. If we move this violently with these cylinders right here, it's really gonna move that outside tip a lot. And all the way to the end again. So pretty unique design on the Horsch, where we have a double truss boom design. There's no cuts or welds at the truss points, right? So this is all one piece of metal all the way along here, and it's a double. So what that means, anytime there's a cut and a weld, that's where the weak point is of the boom, right? So it's all one piece all the way along. So we're doing our water testing with it now. So we got the remote going on the phone here, and he's checking over tips one section at a time. So this machine with this air control, it has 21 different sections for the individual sectional control. They're usually about this size, you know, 4 to 5 nozzles. The smallest section is only going to be 2 nozzles. They're a little bit smaller as you go towards the end, right? Nice thing about this, these are air inducted tips, right? So you can see where our pattern is, how much it's drifting, not a heck of a lot, right? It stays pretty good pattern with this air induction. But having the cell phone tool to check our tips, really slick. Makes it easy to find if we have any plugs. If we do have any plugs, now we got an air gun here. So I can blow out the tips if I need to, and clean them as I'm going. So we had a little hunk of metal in one just from production on the boom, and you know, we're able to blow it out with this guy. But if you are plugging tips, it works pretty good. So when he hits stop here at the end, what happens is once every nozzle stops, we've programmed it that this light here is going to get rinsed with this. So right away here, he's almost there at the end. As soon as he hits stop on that last section, this light is going to rinse. Let's see if it happens here. You hit stop, there it goes. So it cleans your lights off your rinse tank. So this is sucking directly out of your rinse tank. You can program it that when the nozzles lift up on every headland, or the nozzles turn off, the boom lifts up on every headland, it'll clean your lights for you, just like that. So we're doing some testing here now on the boom height control, making sure our sensors are all working correctly. Yeah, keep it underneath there. I want to show this outside flex move down. So as he's getting, you know, his hand underneath right here, keep going a bit higher. You're gonna see this outside flex come down just like this, right? And this boom over here is, you know, staying down low. So that's why, you know, on the 160, to get further out, to keep that accurate application all the way across, that's why we have this flex point right here. Just like this. Got everything tested on the yard. Now I'm driving out to Tyler's farm. I'm gonna go spray his Kosha Ocean and test out the boom control, make sure everything's working out in the hills here with this 160. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm just to the northwest of Swift Current right now, and there's actually some pretty good hills over here. So we're can't really tell, but where the highway is, there's a pretty big valley over there. We're on top of the big hill right now. So this 160 boom, you know, it's not meant to go spraying your biggest hills at your highest speeds. It's not what it's for. I want guys to drive slower and do a better job with your chemical. If you drive slower, you make less dust. The chemical has less hang up in the air. There's less fines that hang up. If we can go to bigger booms and, you know, bigger tanks, we're gonna be more productive, or we can be the exact same amount of production as before, but we're just gonna drive slower. If we drive slower, it's less wear and tear on the machine. you know, you're less passes per field, less trampling on your crop, but overall, I think you're gonna do a better job of your spraying. Sure, if your land allows it and it's nice flat land like this right here, you know, you can still drive this thing fast. You probably gotta slow down a bit on your turns on the headlands, but you know, with the 160 boom, you just gotta think about it a little bit. You know, I'm not gonna turn this thing at the speed a 120 is, especially a four-wheel steer. So just a little bit of thinking before you buy one of these. You know, don't drive it like a maniac on the turns, because that's a lot of whip at 160 feet. For my international viewers, you can see how far the road stretches on for out there. It's about as far as you can see. It's a big wide open country out here around Swift Current. Got 160 foot booms out here spraying now. First time ever in North America with these 160 booms. Actually, this is probably the first time a 160 footer. We've had 48 meters, but first 160 in the world out spraying the weeds right now. So hopefully Tyler's kosher all gets killed. So what this camera is for on my boom tip, it's to see obstacles, right? And kind of steer around them. So you can see we have the cattle looking at our boom up there. Don't let that smell up. We're going 14 mile an hour now through these kochia patches, and the boom's kind of flexing around there at 14. On the other side, there's some flex on this side too. It kind of looks cool going over these kochia patches. But this field is like a pasture, and the stability is really, really good here. Even, you know, 14.5 mile an hour we're going now. So we're doing our section control timing right now. I got 2 helpers out there, and they stood on the 2 ends of my booms. I'm gonna go down and make a path perpendicular across where I just sprayed, and what that'll give me then is my overlap for my section control timing to make sure that's all correct. So this should be checked on every sprayer you set up to make sure you're not leaving any skips or misses. So we'll make sure this guy has no extra skip and just enough overlap. So you got to enter the headland or the covered area at the same speed that you want to enter all your headlands when you're out spraying. When you're done your section control timing, it should look like this. So you should have, you know, 1 perpendicular pass across a straight pass, just like that. But so far what I'm seeing when I'm turning this boom, when I'm you know, driving this thing around in this rough pasture here, it's turning really nice, and the booms are working real good. So I'm pretty happy with how this is all turning out for our first one. So we're putting it to a pretty good test right now. We're going, you know, almost 13 mile an hour, 12.5. This thing is rough. Like, this is a rough pasture. I'm driving across his, like, I don't know if it's a disker track or ruts, but this boom is staying completely level right now at 13 mile an hour, even though we're getting bounced around a bit here in this field. So I'm doing my TCM cal now on the receiver. This camera right here is mounted right above on the fender of my front tire. So it shows you if you're in your sprayer track or not, but it's also really handy when you do your TCM cal. So you can see the track I left right in front, and I'm lining up that tire right in that same track. So what I'm doing now, just testing my auto steer, making sure it's all perfect. So I'm reading, you know, 0 inches on there. Take her up to speed. We're doing, you know, 16.5 miles an hour right now. You know, there's 19, 20 miles an hour. We're still holding zeros on our auto steer. It's John Deere GPS, works really nice. Just like that, we'll slow down, go around, engage on a new line, show you how it engages. I'll engage halfway around my turn. I'm, you know, 50, 40 feet away. Nice and smooth. I'm still going, you know, 10 miles an hour up there. Comes down and finds the line and does not overshoot. So that's an absolutely perfect turn. Beautiful. So super important going down the road. Every piece of farm machinery should have this backup camera. So this is showing right behind the sprayer. You know, we're going, you know, 37 mile an hour down the road here with a 2140 tank and a 160 boom. But before I make that left turn, you can see a guy passing me right now, right? There he comes, just like that. And there he goes. So I can see him coming behind me before he actually passed me, which is really nice and safe. So we just got our fence row nozzle set up on this side. This is kind of what it looks like now. So you can see my pattern. This guy here is shooting out like that. You can see where it's hitting. So out to about right here. It's actually kind of showing up really nice on the gravel now. So it's a little bit back and out, right? So to clear my guard there. So I'm shooting kind of behind, but I'm still going out, 15 feet here, right? This guy comes straight down, and then this guy in the back here is coming straight down. So I got her all ready to rock. It's getting a bath now before it goes out to its new home. First one. So we'll get some more video and stuff tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. We'll show you how these booms work on its first real demo out in the field.